Shattergrounds is a land grab, role-playing, Euro anime, salty, gamer, diplomacy, infinity mega game. Corvus Belli basically does these every year. Big online campaigns where you're encouraged to interact with the community and play some fun, weird games. You fight battles that are really enmeshed with the setting, you maybe do some fan art, maybe you write up some reports, possibly even strategize with other players from the faction. You might know all this, you might be a fellow freak for infinity and you're deeply enmeshed in this weird game setting and storylines and strategy, but it's just as likely that you're a newcomer, trying to understand what's going on. I've done an overview video about how these work for the Durgama Crisis, and you can find a link over here. That information is mostly still good, the links are just different. Therefore, this video is about the setting of Shattergrounds, the new status quo, the missions and locations and reasons for fighting. Should be useful whether you're a regular player or a newer player or a really newer player who's confused and you are looking for information about the Star Wars wargame Shatterpoint. In fact, maybe I should just pivot to Star Wars lore. Look at how many views these guys are getting. Oh my god! The Shatterground campaign takes place over 6 regions of Concilium Prima: Edda, Lorena, Huaqiao, Bhai, Okolnir, and Montalban. Let's look at the northern continent of Midgard. It's the most important by far, housing the majority of the population and the headquarters of the most iconic and important institutions of O-12. The population of Midgard is mainly spread across the massive cities in the region. Between them lie swathes of grasslands and forests, and further south, large mountain ranges untouched by human habitation, save for infrequent mining surveys, and the occasional settler looking for the quiet life. Ah, Edda. Edda, like the Norse Eddas, the capital of the human sphere. Natives consider Edda to be the center of human civilization, and I think they're right. The Oberhaus, the Petit Assemblée, the Concilium Courts, the embassies of every major nation and minor power, all of them make their home in Edda. It is truly a city that never sleeps, doesn't even blink. Every culture is here, every language you've ever known, and many you haven't. Wheels spin within wheels. Plans are eternally in motion. Every second of every minute of Concilium's 23-hour day, money is spent and wasted and earned and passed through markets legitimate and gray. Edda is beautiful, but it's also dangerous. It's not just the quantum anomaly zone that endangers the city. Its self-repairing architecture is home to deep scars from clandestine shadow wars. In Edda, there are powerful, wealthy, and influential men, and when such men meet, they are guaranteed to conflict. Sort of like Pokemon trainers. Their eyes meet and boom, they just gotta do a shadow war. Everyone is here. Everyone. Nations, international corporations, state-run groups, NGOs, lobbyists. They fight in boardrooms and they fight in dining halls, and they fight to gain the ears of the senators and ambassadors and judges and politicians. It's all too much to possibly track. The endless churn of interactions and alliances is absolutely Byzantine. Let's just say that Bureau Trimerti and Internal Affairs have their work cut out for them. The physical city itself is an absolute jungle. It is a beautiful, pristine, Aleph-managed space, mind you. At its center is the core, that ultra-luxe area that concentrates public administrative buildings and corporate headquarters. Surrounding the Oberhaus is a massive and endless array of gardens, which twist above, around, and even underneath the core. It's a place filled with green spaces and buildings of all shapes and sizes to house the diverse interests that make up mankind. Surrounding the core is Beltway 594. This ring road encircles the nucleus and is often referred to simply as the Beltway. People say inside the Beltway to refer to matters close to the heart, figuratively and literally, of O-12. Anyone who controls the Beltway controls physical access to most of the human sphere's most important institutions. Past that is the corporate ring, representing both business and well as corporate bodies, NGOs, incorporated representatives of ethnic groups, that sort of thing. Keep exploring the city and you'll get to the residential rings. These zones are highly stratified and split by ethnic and national loyalties, although there are social districts like the infamous Carmazino Nexus, which serve diverse clientele. The residential zones meld the man-made and the natural, with eco-friendly houses flowing with the landscape, at least until you see the gated communities and walled compounds. These are for the rich, ranking, and influential. Don't try anything stupid. All of them have armed mercs. Seriously. Edda, when ranked by the number of contracts issued, is the largest user of the war market, meaning the inhabitants of the city use more mercenaries than anywhere else in the sphere. This is true whether one splices the data to look at individually issued contracts or contracts issued by entities such as governments and corporations. These guns for hire work as bodyguards, infiltrators, security detail, or sometimes you just hire a bunch of Druze to blow up a guy's compound, and then you make sure it can't be traced back to you. No matter where you are in the city, if you look up, you see Asgard, the geosynchronous orbital station and busy gateway both to and from Edda. There are many ways to Asgard, but Edda's main spaceport hub is the Rodan Main Spaceport, or RMS. It's a civilian-run facility, but it is also connected to the Wigan Aerospace Base. That is the main military airport used by the Planetary Defense Force and Bureau Aegis. Anyone who controls the RMS, therefore, has easy access to Asgard, making it another critical target. The city is a symbol of dialogue and resistance. During the Cerberus crisis, Edda remained a safe haven where life went on despite the fact that there was an alien invasion in Helheim. The question isn't really if O-12 can hold on to Edda. That much is certain: it has a population of millions and a massive garrison. The question is, what does control look like when the dust starts to settle? Does O-12 stand tall, or is it an uneasy peace where its halls are patrolled by nationalist peacekeepers and zones penetrated by interlopers? Lorena is the gateway to the island paradise of Bois Bleu. Like the rest of Midgard, it enjoys 4 seasons: hot summers, cold winters, and being so close to Bois Bleu, it began as a small leisure town. The oceans of Lorena glow at night thanks to bioluminescent plankton. The landscape glows during the day. Carefully shaped by haqqislamite planetologists, it twists and undulates before falling way to a gorgeous coastline that ensures the entire city can see the island of Bois Bleu. Bois Bleu, I keep on saying it, Bois Bleu is home to the gorgeous Bois Bleu National Park. It's accessible via the bridge northwest of town. The richest of the rich live on the small settlement of Saint-Michel de Bois Bleu, essentially living on an island paradise and surrounded by a national park. Those who live in Lorena, though, can still watch the massive mega ferries taking passengers across the strait. Evening cruises take advantage of the glowing sea, with every room open to natural beauty and packed with music, entertainment, shows, and food. These ferries operate 23 hours a day, even amidst the appearance of quantum anomaly zones in Lorena. Life goes on. People party, they go to restaurants, they enjoy the demigrant lifestyle. And for those of them that choose to work, well, they enjoy one of the most obscenely luxurious lifestyles in the entire sphere. Like Edda, Lorena is home to a huge population of socio-political elites, many of whom commute to Edda via a massive motorway and even more impressive maglev train system. And for those coming from farther away or off-world, the sprawling Blériot Airport, named for French inventor and aviator Louis Blériot, is the best way in or out. Aleph and the Nomads are interested in large part because of its elite reputation. The Nomads don't have a large physical presence compared to Aleph's friendly and manicured support. It's the creme de la creme of Concilium's best places to visit, and probably has the most cosmopolitan food scene in human history, but something changed that made it more than just a tourist town. That would be Bureau Gaia's Planetary Research Center and its headquarters. Although Bureau Gaia, named after the Greek titan of the Earth, has many campuses all around the sphere and Concilium Prima, its main admin building is in Lorena. From here they legislate, regulate, and monitor terraforming projects. They help support exploration efforts and ensure that humankind's stellar journey is not one of imperial colonialism, working alongside Bureau Tiandi to make journeys through new wormholes and research new alien biology. In summation, Lorena is valuable for access to its people and its economic and technological value, and whoever influences it can guarantee the absolute best vacations in the sphere. Huaqiao, from the Mandarin word Huaqiao. Did I get that right? Hold on.
Huaqiao.
Yeah, cool, nailed it, sure. Translates from overseas Chinese or foreign guests. It sits on the western coast of Midgard. Like all the coasts, the seas and the weather is stormy, and the summers are warm and the winters are cool. Huaqiao is an old city. Its harbor has access to the Mentor continent's coastline, and its beaches, although a bit cooler, are clean and welcoming. It still maintains its dominance as a shipping hub, originally one of the launch points of the great sea harvesters that plied the oceans of Concilium Prima. But that industry slowly died off around here, and in its wake, Huaqiao became a major center for energy research. Critically, it is the headquarters of Bureau Agni. That means energy production and high-tech infrastructure and exploration of the very laws of physics. Yujing has always poured extra money into Bureau Agni and has reaped the rewards, using Bureau Agni's advances in conductors and power generation to fuel its massive cities and advanced powered armor. As such, Huaqiao has a certain Yujingese character. Much of the low-lying city and its beaches are built in East Asian styles, with reverence to a variety of faiths and institutions. O-12's love of diversity means that these neighborhoods are not ethnic enclaves, but just different styles in which you can experience a fairly relaxed city. That's except for Gubei in the northwest section of Huaqiao. Ujingyu citizens called it Little Kyoto for its large Japanese population. During the Japanese uprising, it declared itself independent and part of Greater Japan. Yujing and O-12 didn't see it worth the bloodshed to tell them otherwise, but Gubei has been quietly bolstered by Pan-Oceania for years with arms and logistics. The coastal town is overlooked by bluffs and rocky, flat mountains. On it are plain-looking buildings, presumably old hotel compounds, but looks are deceiving. Inside these repurposed buildings are educational facilities known as agora. These are not universities, but specialized educational institutions open to all residents of the sphere. Funding comes from O-12 in partnership with national and corporate foundations. And in these isolated labs come some of the most influential research in the realm of energy and physics. This is because research performed at the Agora labs is often open source and public, meaning that everyone in the sphere benefits. Perhaps the most advanced is the EERC, the Experimental Energy Research Center. The EERC's science has thus far shaped the energy future of the human sphere. Although, not always. Secrets, proprietary scholarships, an endless flow of interns and scientists, and especially corporate intelligence agencies, means that espionage, obscurantism, and sabotage are rife. The Agora Labs are sponsored by Bureau Agni, which makes perfect sense, as Bureau Agni is also headquartered in Huaqiao. Agni is the Sanskrit word for fire, for energy, for heat. Bureau Agni optimizes energy use and constructs vast solar arrays and researches exotic materials and deploys Section Métis to monitor and gather information on all of the changing technologies of the human sphere. And if that wasn't enough to make you desire a visit or a victory at Huaqiao, there's also a big clock. 400 meters underground, built into a basalt shelf, are the Tai Sui facilities. This bad boy is a master clock. Endless tangled quantronic systems tick away, providing the unified easy time for the entire human sphere. Time in Huaqiao is easy time, and more than one tourist has come to the city to experience standing in a place where 12 noon, with the sun overhead, is 12 noon for the ships in orbit around Borak or Paradiso, and 12 noon for the circulars plying their way through interstellar space. Minas Gerais is a region, an island divided from the mainland of Mentor by the calm Guanabara Sea. It's rich in important mineral deposits, and is the most industrialized zone of Concilium. Autonomous mining operations dominate the island chain. Past Minas Gerais is Bianca Island. Compared to the other islands, which focus on those resource-gathering operations, Bianca is a luxurious, paradisical getaway the size of Ireland. The sand is the whitest and finest on the planet, and the beaches literally surround the island for hundreds of miles. The marine fauna sparkles. The coral reefs are massive, titanic, and romantic. All of this contrasts with the heavy mining operations found in the rest of Minas Gerais. All that automated industry provides the wealth that allows the residents of Montalban to live lives of luxury. Visitors from Earth compare it to Monaco or Côte d'Azur. Visitors from Verona compare it to their own manicured beaches and yachts. And visitors from everywhere describe it as very pleasant. If there is a downside, it's the proximity to those aforementioned industrialized islands like Viana and Cambados. Coral in the northwest is bleaching, and the western beaches are stained dark with sooty powder. Why is that? Is it pollution? Maybe. Probably. Almost certainly. But what if it's not? You look off the coast of Montalban, you find submarine pens, underwater labs, and what I just assume is a never-ending James Bond movie. What if the bleaching coral and darkening sand is actually some kind of supervillain lair, waiting under the water? What if it's not just an excuse to open up a new region to mining? What if lead in the paint is actually good for the environmental concerns could also be the quantum anomaly zone? In fact, I think it's very likely that that's it. It's that, or the pollution, or the underwater lab, one of those three for sure. Pan-Oceania has particular interest in this region, in part because of its most wealthy citizens. They quite like the town of Montalban and the island of Bianca. Yes, catering to the whims of the rich is very much a good reason to fight, but it also happens that there is a high-tech oceanographic research station owned by Pan-Oceania with the permission of O-12 somewhere off the coast of Montalban, which, now that I mention it, adds a fourth possibility to the source of that pollution. The nomads also take particular interest with Bianca Island because of the biomodified octopi that they use as pilots. They also like the extreme luxury and the economic value there. And finally, the sensitive nature of that Pan-Oceanian research base. Montalban is such a luxurious gem, though, that even with the horrors of a quantum anomaly zone affecting portions of the town, the tourists just can't stay away. The nomads and Pan-Oceanians are both interested in controlling Bianca Island for that research base, yeah, but also for all the sick waves you can catch. Whoa! South of the Midgard region is the sparsely populated Maidan. Maidan is already suffering after a Sarasvati dirty bomb in the small city of Spandau Beta, but seems otherwise unaffected by the quantum anomaly crisis. Farther southwest is Chula, featuring Durgama and the menacing El Gabal mountain range. The northern half of the subcontinent is called Chula, and it's a chaotic and tectonically active region. The southern half is Jaulan, and while it suffers frequent earthquakes, it is far more stable. The deep jungles of Durgama are crisscrossed with thick streams running from mountain to ocean. Great pine and oak and ash forests imported from Europe on Earth. Jaulan still has to deal with the not infrequent volcanic eruptions and sometimes lethal spread of toxic spores. You can learn more about that with this video up here. Western Jaulan is almost bereft of human settlement save for Bhai. In some ways, it's not much to look at. There are a number of nearby monitoring stations, climate control nodes, and other Bureau Gaia outposts. A number of expats from Borak make their home in Bhai, and there are many neighborhoods built in haqqislamite style. Buildings of blue and brown, tall roofs, lots of open air, and lots of shade. Like Huaqiao, Bhai got its start as a fishing town, but it grew to a small city thanks to the ever-growing presence of Bureau Gaia. The climate scientists are supplemented by a Bureau Tot outpost as well. There's also a number of supercomputers that house Aleph aspects designed specifically to support Bureau Gaia scientists in their studies. There are research facilities that stand perpetually at the ready to send forays into Chula to repair the relays, build new ones, or take field samples, and they're always looking for extra help. The small but celebrated Bhai University houses the planet's leading terraforming faculty and hosts the Institute for Planetology. The IP is funded by the Diwan of Foreign Studies from haqqislam, and the nation is more than happy to engage in joint ventures exploring terraforming and climate science with the help of O-12. Bhai is mostly suburbs and greenery. It's all civil servants and commercial and social infrastructure to support them all. Bureau Hermes has outposts to facilitate communication across the mostly empty Chula subcontinent. Bureau Aegis is present with a small security force. And of course, there's Bureau Noir. This is where the Shimmering Sky project is controlled. Seated throughout the upper atmosphere, the sky shimmers give Concilium a distinctly sparkling effect. They're still in use today, just repurposed to be a tool for blocking communications from the surface to orbit, therefore forcing anybody planet-side to rely on O-12 monitored networks. In a pinch, the sky shimmers could plausibly be used as a weapon, but ideally they'll be used to help the continued cleanup from the Cerberus invasion. Bureau Noir runs the sky shimmers now, and Bureau Noir is busy. The research campuses of Bhai are filled with foreign engineers and diplomats, and Bhai has become the gateway to the QAZ where the Tazeki digester is located. The EI and the Combined Army have sent many of their best armed forces and scientists to the city, both to share knowledge and commit acts of alien espionage. The numerous shimmering sky nodes and orbital links in and around the city are tempting targets for any spies or spec ops teams in the area. The quantum anomaly zone that is affecting Concilium's very mantle and crust is also being monitored from the Bureau Gaia facilities crossing by. Everyone would love to know what's going on in there. It's not as exciting as sabotaging or partially compromising the Shimmering Sky project, and it's not as exciting as a big fight around a really, really big clock, but, you know, quantum anomaly zones aren't gonna study themselves, okay? So, get on it, haqqislam. I know you guys can do it. I played as you guys last time. Come on. You guys always win. Farther to the south is the fishing town of Okolnir. It serves as a haven for the aqua harvesters that traverse the seas, filtering the waters and providing the majority of Concilium's food supply. Okolnir is a small city with homes and gardens that sit behind large protective walls. This is contrasted with the large industrial complexes that support the sea harvesters, the endless networks of docks and cargo zones and seafood processing plants. After all, seafood needs to be handled with care. Aqua harvesters deposit their massive catches, which are then processed and packaged and distributed to Concilium, the Nova rings, the orbital stations, and all the way out to the asteroid belts. This is thanks to the largely automated Okolnir processing hub, where fish become food and food becomes political power. Outside the factory, which by the way I'm sure smells just rad, just absolutely smells great, is the OMTCC, the Okolnir Maritime Traffic Control Center. This facility manages all traffic for all the sea harvesters across the southern Aegir Ocean. Thanks to a robust network of sensors, it has total awareness of pretty much all naval traffic across the southern hemisphere. I guess it extends all the way out to Helheim. There are 3 mega piers, and they're all monitored by law enforcement patrols. They're official O-12 officers and plainclothes detectives. The food supply chain is a very valuable thing, so it's the rare spot in Concilium Prima where organized crime has reared its head. The processing centers are valuable to control, and those that do control them find that the money flows like the choppy waters to the south. Many of these organized syndicates avoid serious violence, but they're more than happy to intimidate or employ unwholesome tactics anytime people start to feel a little too honest. There's the Ware Harbor Masters game, or Ware HMG, which is composed of a subgroup of Filipino ancestry from the Visayan Islands on Earth. Then there's the Indonesian secret society, the Huaqiao, and both of them have substantial connections to Submondo and a piece of the port. The support, therefore, that a small nation like Ariadna could provide to the gangs could give them enough clout to surpass the existing Pan-Oceanian garrison. It might even disturb the city's balance of power and overwhelm local law enforcement. Such a scenario would force Bureau Aegis to intervene. Bad timing considering that they are in dire need across the rest of the planet. Pan-Oceania was the first to send troops to reinforce Okolnir and to protect its processing supply. But they weren't the only power, as Ariadna, especially its Ermandino gangs, are interested in controlling Okolnir and its naval range. Wow, this is the end of the video. Are you playing in SHATTERGROUNDS? Is it the future? Did you play? What am I like in the future? What did you think of this somewhat detailed visit to the planet Concilium Prima? Where do you want to fight? What sounds like an interesting battle? Do you hate daylight savings time? Do you play Omega Strikers? Leave me a comment to any or all or none of these below. And if you like this sort of thing, please subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. And thanks again for watching.